Hello, my name is Austin, and this is Go Access, a YouTube channel dedicated to access in higher education and disability rights. Today, I want to cover live captioning that is done through an algorithm. And I want to first start off when I talk about this with a disclaimer. Students who are deaf or need CART communication access and real time translation, captioning will not be accurate enough. It also does not include or meet all the captioning standards of CART, such as having punctuation and things like that. But I think algorithm captioning can be a game changer for students who are hard of hearing, students on the autism spectrum, and who have auditory processing delays. And I definitely want to cover more about that. So the classroom challenges are that students, particularly who are hard of hearing, when they're seated, they may not be able to catch all the words the professor is saying. Most likely, this is because students who are hard of hearing are using lip reading, and if the professor turns their head, they might not catch the word. The professor could also be mumbling or something of that nature. Generally, background noise can be another factor. This could also apply to students on the autism spectrum, because a lot of times, hearing background noise can be distracting. And, sometimes the video issues in the classroom could be another thing going on as well. That mainly relates more to making sure that all the materials are captioned, but it could also be like the PowerPoint or something like that. So, what I want to do is talk first about a study that was recently done. It's called The Learning Experiences of Students Who Are Hard of Hearing in Higher Education. It was done by Diane Bell and Estelle Stewart. The study took place in South African University, and it focused on students who were hard of hearing and trying to get their experiences and why, captioning could be useful, or particularly captioning professors. Here are some quotes from the students. If a student is sitting in front of me, and then it can be quite a problem because the sound is away from you and you are not able to lip read. So that again explains that when you're sitting, you might be in the front row, perfect for getting the professor's information, but you might not be able to turn your head and catch the student when they raise their hand for a question, be able to lip read that student. So that can be an issue right there. Another student mentioned when a lecturer is explaining something, it can be frustrating because you can't always hear. So I really do rely on the PowerPoint notes. And that again, if you miss a word or two or something, it can be a problem. So the solution that's been come up with is the Google Slides and PowerPoint add-ons that include live captioning. I guess before I jump into that, there's also these recommendations from the study saying, again, having the first or second row for students with disabilities with who are hard of hearing could be helpful. Collaborating with disability services, ensuring all audio, video materials have subtitles, and making notes available online. I would say most of these are pretty much covered by most colleges or in universities. The main one I notice more of is either maybe a professor doesn't, caption audio, video, but generally, I think colleges are able to do a pretty good job at catching most of that. But making all the notes available, I noticed that some professors who aren't as familiar with the internet and using learning management tools may not actually post all their slides. So that can sometimes, be problematic because students want to review the material either before class or after class. So I think it's good to have all the slides posted and not just relying on handouts or something like that, or the lecture. Um, so live captioning from PowerPoint and Google Slides is now available, and the way it works is you hook up a mic to that person who's speaking, and it will use its algorithm to caption. The captioning displays below the slide. And the presenter needs to wear, the microphone the full time. A lot of microphones have a mute option too, so if something's not relevant, they could mute. The big thing to keep in mind if you're a college or university looking into that is you don't want to choose a headset that's too complicated. Bluetooth connection and pairing can be difficult for professors. A lot of them, again, aren't as familiar with technology. Um, so that is something to keep in mind. And they're busy. I mean, they have to get right into class and start a lecture. They can't spend 5 to 20, you can't spend 10 to 20 minutes doing that. 5 minutes maybe, but 10 to 20 setting it up, no. Another thing is a wireless plug and play option, therefore, is the best option. And, a wired headset is too restricting depending on where they're moving. Having a long cable would not be a good idea. So the option we chose was the Logitech H820E, because that headset has a base station. You just plug it into the Mac or PC to the USB, and then the headset's always connected to that base station. So as soon as you take it off, it has connection. The professor could walk all around the class, and everything is captioned through Google Slides or PowerPoint, which has their add-on. I think it's through Microsoft Garage. You can download the add-on for um, closed captioning. I also want to mention another cool startup that's coming out. It's called Speaksy, and they're developing like an iPhone app and microphone to display transcription. They can use multiple microphones to identify each speaker, and you can actually save the transcription in the app. Here's like a little picture from their website showing the microphone, which is nicer than like the headset that I have, because it's just a clip on, I think. So it would be nice depending on how small it is. I haven't seen it in person. And then it goes right to the app. So keeping that in mind as well. Transcription. Another thing that's going to be helpful from this is that I think Google Slides eventually is going to come out with being able to save the transcriptions. I predict that to be a future feature that will eventually come out. And PowerPoint, I believe, has that, or that will be coming as well. But having the transcription of the lecture could be helpful, although I want to emphasize it does not replace note taking. Note taking requires synthesizing the key components of a lecture and the key ideas. And a lot of students who have slower processing, have difficulty with memory and executive functioning, it's going to take them too long to sift through the transcript and find that important information. So it's not a replacement for good note taking, but it can definitely be an additional study tool that could be beneficial to a lot of students. Um, as I mentioned, it could be helpful for students on the autism spectrum and students with auditory processing disorders. And in general, I think it helps the whole class. Being able to keep with the lecture, because we've all missed something from one time or another in a lecture in a class. So this could be a helpful tool. And pulling something from Vitek, who is one of the big captioning vendors. They did a study of closed captioning, and 75.5% said the benefit was it being a learning aid. I think that live captioning through an algorithm could definitely be another learning aid for students. And I hope there's more research into that. So in the future, I think universities and colleges should start working on integrating live captioning to create universal access for all students. And live captioning has a lot of upside and will continue to progress into the future. Please join me in the next one.